and welcome back to another episode of We Bought a Mic, a podcast about the best albums, movies, and shows of 2024. We are so back! We are here. It's Listomania. We have said goodbye to 2024, but not quite. It's 2025, but we're not quite ready to leave it all behind. We have to do our best albums of the year, followed by movies and shows, separate episodes. It's going to be big. It's going to be multiple parts. It's going to be way too long. Mm-hmm. Welcome.
People have never accused us of that, like, ever once.
My name's Ernest.
I'm a fan of words that are spoken in a rhythmic way that's pleasing to the ears. And sometimes there are instruments that accompany it. And my name is Hunter.
And I'm back again after a week? Or no, a month. It was a month.
What we did
for like
potty.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Castaway.
We should have just all taken a sick leave day off work and done both in one day.
Yeah.
This and that.
Yeah, just have it banged.
Yeah.
But my list wasn't ready.
Blacked out by like 2 p.m.
We would have been here till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
if we did that after Chapati.
We're door dashing buzz balls.
Guy just like mails a divorce paper and like slips it under Ernest's garage door.
Don't you fucking come home. Do not come back.
Yeah, welcome back, Danny. I'm Drew. Excited for this one. All year we have been lamenting the fact that there was too much good music coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To the point that it was upsetting to our lists. So excited to see what happened with everybody's.
That's a good place to start. I want everyone's thoughts on the year in music, specifically framed around the idea of how packed it is. And I guess the disclaimer of we are not going to be able to cover everything. It's going to be a very long podcast. We're going to cover a lot, but there's not going to be everything. So we're going to do our best. We listen to a lot of stuff. I think it comes down to just our favorites. And I think that if I had to pick a theme for my list, it's really just what I like listening to. And every year I try to be representative of different genres and different, artistic endeavors and people trying stuff. And I did this a little bit this year, but more so than any other year.
Earning with these participation trophies.
Yeah.
It's
hey, congrats on trying. Here's my number 7 slot.
To those small little indie bands that made Ernest listen in the past, like, congratulations on just being Ernest, slapping you in the face and saying, like, I didn't really
Yeah, you hear that,
much.
King Gizzard?
Yeah.
Don't hate.
What do you guys think? How do you feel? Is the panic subsiding of the packedness of the year?
I'm honestly just so happy that it's like finally ending.
We're here.
It's just, it's been way too much. And like, it's almost put me into a panic of like having to put like a top 10. So I kind of like geared it towards like, how many times did I re-listen to the album? Like how many times was it on repeat?
Do I like putting it on?
But there's the thing is
basic stuff.
There's some albums that I listen to a lot because of the story or the theme.
Yeah.
And then there's some that I listen to because it's just fucking catchy. Like it was so, it was just like a good groove to put on in the car or like driving when I was on vacation, like things like that. And so that was kind of what was so upsetting, that it was like there were so many good ones that any other year would have been in the 6 to 10 range, maybe even top 5, that didn't get to break my top 10.
I know.
Year.
I feel the same way. Yeah. My 11 through 20 is basically just a top 10.
That's what I was going to say is I think I said it before that this is like the best year in music since 2016, since the year before we recorded this podcast. If you go back and look at the albums that came out in 2016, it is absolutely stupid. Wow, 2024 and 2016. What do those two things have in common? Maybe there's something about the state of the universe, the state of America around this time. I don't know. In the universe, for that matter.
I like that inquisitive guy character you just dropped.
Oh, do you like this guy over here? Oh, he might make some more appearances.
Sarcastic political opinion.
What about these guys?
Okay. Oh no. Oh my God.
Is these guys?
Oh my God. Count Orlock is here. Count Orlock.
Welcome to the Best Albums Podcast.
Count Orlock, what is your top 10 of the year? What is your theme for the top 10?
I really enjoyed Sabrina Carpenter.
You know who he sounds like? He sounds like the ultimate vampire in What We Do in the Shadows.
It's kind
Have you seen Nosferatu?
Kind of
Shout out Orlock.
Yeah. No, I don't know if my list really has a theme this much this year as it has in years past. There's definitely like, it sounds stupid to say because you're like, why isn't that your theme every year? But it really is the albums that I return to the most this year. And it did reach a certain point. Danny, you joked about our group chat, like, can we just make this a top 20 year this year? Because it is one of those things where like a lot of albums I really love that I listen to. I started listening to them like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I can't judge those the same way that I spent so much that I've like listened to an album now, like, I don't know, like 40 times at this point. Like I can't judge those.
Yeah, it's a hard thing. And you don't run into that as much with like movies or TV, you know, as the year goes on, because there's a finite amount of time you can watch a fucking movie.
I have a feeling that on like the 30th view of The Brutalist, it'll really kick.
Music is so like versatile because you can listen to it in the car while you're working.
Yeah, exactly. Like and sometimes it genuinely does take like 15 listens of something for me to like really to realize I like love it. Or sometimes the opposite happens. Like there are a couple albums here that like early in the year they came out, was really into them, and then revisited them later, and I was like, I don't even like this that much.
It's tough because I did that the same thing. There were like a couple albums early year, like my favorite, but then other stuff came out, and it's like I don't want to play with you anymore.
Same.
Maybe we just weren't ready for what the year was going to be.
There's a little bit of an unfair aspect to that because of the number of albums. Like there's only so much time to listen to music, and I think that time will be kind to some of those albums that we Woody dropped to play with Buzz, you know. Like I'm thinking of one in particular that I'm hoping one of you guys has on your list that didn't make mine. That I know if it wasn't so absolutely crammed, if I had a little bit more time, it would have made the list. And it's still in the 11 through 20.
And I do think that Sabrina Carpenter will be okay with not making her.
Well, fine. I don't know. We'll see.
She's in the disc just watching. She's like, no, guys, espresso.
Can I say my Sabrina Carpenter thought? I don't know if I have a thought, like a take on that album. I don't know if Ernest might actually have it on his list. Okay, cool. No. So Sabrina Carpenter, short and sweet, an album that I do like. That album is. And I appreciate this about Sabrina. She wears her influences on her sleeve, let's say. But it's very clearly in that album when you're just like, oh, this is her Olivia Rodrigo song. Oh, this is her Harry Styles song. Like Coincidence is just straight up a Harry Styles song. And granted, it's better than most Harry Styles songs because it's good. It's fun, catchy pop song. But like, it's just a thing where it's like, I really want to know what her album after this is to know like, okay, what are you? Because Espresso feels like that could be something. Please feels like that.
Well, a lot of it is,
that's not my favorite.
You know, she's an actress and she's what she's best at, I think, is like playing this part, this identity of like Betty Boop-ish, like pop star figure. She's very, very good at it.
Don't musically, the formula.
It's just musically, you're right. Like that's not like the strength of like what she is as an identity.
And it's a fun, I mean, it's a fun album.
She connects with fans like really, really well.
Yeah.
The music, you know.
I like that. I think it's like a fun pop album for what it is, but something like that might have a shot maybe in a weaker year of like making my top 10. This year it's like DOA. And it is just a thing that I like had a couple albums that did do the thing that you guys are talking about where like I kind of cast them away at the beginning of the year. And what I've tried to do is always like keep a list, even if it's not like constantly having a top 10 of just albums that did affect me at some point in time so I don't forget about it, so then I can go back to. And I'm glad that I did that because there's 2 albums in particular that I kind of cast away to the side and then ended up making my top 10 because I like did that whole thing where I listened to them a ton when they came out, kind of fell out of love with them and just like listened to them too much. I was like, I don't know if I like this as much. Go back to it and it works again. So
all right, let's get into it. It's gonna be a long boy.
Yeah,
we're gonna split this into 2 parts. I'm already calling it.
Yeah, there's no way it isn't.
I'm watching the time. I don't know if the 10 through 6 will be the right time to split it. It'll be based more on like how much time we take. So I'm gonna do my best to keep things moving along.
Yeah,
I might be a little bit of a hard ass with like cutting you off to move on.
Just cut the mics.
Because
can you put like play out like Oscar
that
music
actually
on the soundboard?
That would be so
get off the guy.
That's it. That's what they're doing.
When you have a minute left, you just cue the Coheed song.
I don't want to start talking about Kendrick 3 hours from now.
Yeah,
that's not what I want. I want to start talking about Kendrick maybe 2 hours from now. You know,
we might never talk Kendrick this whole episode.
Maybe not.
Did he come out with something this year?
You got the wheel?
I got the wheel.
All right.
All right, we're spinning the wheel to see who goes first. Listomania 2024. Happy 2025. Kicking off the new year. Going first is Danny.
Oh, okay.
Should I spin it again?
Are we going left or right?
Let's spin it
We're going
again
next.
to see.
We just gonna go in order. I don't want to jump table.
But if it lands on you, what does that mean?
I just go this way.
It's Hunter.
Okay.
Okay,
Cool.
so
Well,
we
that
go
makes
this way.
sense.
All right. My number 10 needs no introduction because it has no name. Jack White.
Nice.
Hey, guess what? This is for me. 11.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Not a save it? You didn't
This
have it.
was on my top 10 for the longest time.
I really thought it was a save it.
And I bumped it down. It was tough. It's tough. There's going to be a lot of these where I'm just like so heartbroken, but I'm glad it's here. I'm glad it made yours. Let's get into Jack White. No,
it's definitely blue. It's definitely a blue album. It's like blues, kind of like garage rock kind of thing. But it kind of, when I first listened to it, it kind of pissed me off because this is the Jack White we fell in love with the White Stripes. Like this is who we're like, okay, we have to keep listening to Jack White because what if he releases like a good song or two? This whole album is just fucking banger after banger after banger. I love like the vocal effect he has where it kind of sounds like he's using like a shitty mic. And it's like it almost,
old.
Yeah, like an old mic. And it's like very like grungy. It's loud. It's just like I felt like he did this just to like piss us off. Like he didn't give it a name. He's just like, hey, by the way,
and it's just blue.
Just blue. There's no rollout, nothing.
It's like Blue Velvet, you know. Shout out to David Lynch.
Loud. It was awesome. Like the themes throughout are just like it's very like religious. Like there's a lot of like religious like tones in it where he kind of compares like God isn't gonna bless you, so you got to bless yourself kind of thing. Like it's just like it really stuck with me and it was very re-listenable, especially working out at the gym or like going on a run. That's like where I listen to it the most. But
standout tracks
for me.
That's how I'm feeling.
Yeah, That's How I'm Feeling is great. Rough on Rats. Bombing Out is just like starts off hot.
Archbishop,
like going back
Harold
to the
Holmes.
religious theme. Like
one of the best things about the album is if you like one song, you're probably gonna like the whole album. Like it's very cohesive, even though it has different like sounds from song to song. Which is honestly, I ended up judging a lot of albums this year on that criteria, but it's a great fucking album. I feel like he realized he doesn't need to do this like rock and roll Paul Simon like instrumentalists, complicated shit.
I don't think he's gonna like go back to this. I think this was just like a one-off thing just to prove he could,
and he'll go back to being weird and experimental.
You're saying this is basically his if you're reading this, it's too late.
Yeah.
It's like, he put out one good thing.
Like
back to making bad again.
Yeah, one for the fellas.
One of my notes, and this is like my longest bullet point, is that like I think what happens is that he just needs to spend less time on projects. Like he needs to go with like the first thought and run with it. Like this doesn't feel like overproduced. This doesn't feel too like obscure. It just feels
it sounds like he was like kind of drunk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just jamming. And he just happens to be like the best guitarist on earth.
Yeah. It was crazy. It's just, but
super strong album.
Yeah. He does it so well.
I think what you're getting at though, is that he's such a genius that it's something where he feels like a guy who gets bored easily. And so he just got bored with like rock and roll music. And so he's just like, I want to bring in 14 musicians on a stage with me. Okay, now let's jam and figure out like what to do here. Yeah, and that's where it kind of gets lost in as far as like listenability in the last couple albums, at least for me.
In terms of his strengths, the thing that he is best at by a mile, he's good at a lot of things, songwriting, is his guitar. His guitar tone in particular, like changed. Like he has one of those tones where like only he has it.
It rocks hard.
Yeah, and it gets lost in complicated music.
Yeah,
obviously.
It's
just like
it's a down the middle, like powerful rock.
Like
record.
that's like in the forefront of these songs again. And that it made me so happy because that's the whole reason I liked White Stripes. I had some issues with their songwriting a lot of the time.
You mostly like them for their drumming.
Listen, I have come to appreciate Meg White as I think there are worse sins in drumming than like underplaying. And I don't think it's ruining too much. But you're right.
Also got to shout out Third Man Records.
Yeah.
I made the pilgrimage to Detroit. I think in 23 or 20, I can't even remember. But if we do end up going to Nashville this year, we got to make the pilgrimage to that location.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I've been.
Oh, to Third Man?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's
Let's
great.
go.
I got a Jonathan Fire Eater t-shirt.
Yo.
Let's go.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, really, really cool spot. I mean, mostly a giant gift shop, but to be honest,
But you get some good shit. You get records.
cool
man.
gifts. Yeah.
All right. That is Danny's number 10. It is No Name by Jack White. Hunter, number 10.
My number 10 is Loss of Life by MGMT.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I was so worried this wasn't going to get
so here's the thing.
representation.
This wasn't on my list because, again, this is one of those albums. It came out in, I think, February.
Yeah.
Yeah, really
and just
early.
got completely lost. It was one of those things that just got kind of buried. And whenever I was talking about like really rediscovering and diving back in these last few weeks leading up to this pod, this is one that I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. I like obsessively listened to this album whenever it first came out. This was like the first really great album of the year that I could not stop listening to. And I think that what's interesting about this is that I think that this album in particular hit me at a good point in my life. Like if they would have put out Loss of Life when Little Dark Age came out in 2016, I don't think it would have resonated for me. I think
Little
it's
Dark
something
Age, though, absolutely hit.
Yeah, well, because Little Dark Age it's 80s, it's electronic, dancey, it's pop. Like that is kind of something that they did. And it's funny, in true MGMT fashion, they're like, too many people like us now. We got to get weird again.
I know. We should have known they would do like a congratulations.
They have to. They have to put out another like just something get real weird, which means hopefully we don't have a self-titled following this one up because it's the worst album. But
the pattern continues.
I think like to go on with your point about like if this was released in 2016, which is a very popular theme in my list, is that a lot of these artists like grew up with us.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's been over a decade.
It didn't make sense because in 2016 they were like in a similar point as you. So it was like you're kind of like going off the same vibe, but like now, Loss of Life at this point, it's just like it grew up with you.
Yeah.
Now, like it kind of sits better with you because you grew up with them.
It's something, and sorry, it was 2018, not 2016, excuse me. Because I remember we were doing the pod. I think that Little Dark Age was your number one that year. Yeah, I think it was on our list, but your number one. Great job by you because that album is aged like fine wine. But I think that is something that they're clearly just always trying to reinvent themselves, these two dudes. And of course, like their next move after going from 80s synth pop is like, we want to do 80s psych rock ballads. And that's kind of just more of the sound they're trying to do is create this wild sonic landscape, which they've always done. I mean, especially Congratulations does an impeccable job of just like listen to that thing with great headphones and you just get so much more out of it. And I feel a lot of the same feelings about Congratulations as I do about this one, where
I think there are like 4 or 5 songs that could just be on Congratulations.
Yeah.
Like if you told me it was on that, I'd be like, oh yeah, probably.
I think that especially at the beginning of the album with Mother Nature, Dancing in Babylon, which are 2 of like in my short list or my long list of my favorite songs of the year. Love both of those. I Wish I Was Joking is another like really, really standout track, but I kind of just like how it's not like I'm trying to think of the complete right word for it, but how like noisy they can be at times. I think that if there is one theme with my list, there's a lot of noise that I was listening to.
I just like that they're getting weird.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to keep pushing.
Finally, MGMT gets weird.
I just think that if you listen to Oracular, like you maybe thought weird back then when it came out, but now you wouldn't.
Yeah, and that also a lot of that was like the product of the way it got produced, because if you listen to like the first version of Kids, for example, it sounds like way shittier, like just sound quality wise. It doesn't sound like big. I mean, I love these guys. I honestly, I'll admit it's one that kind of got lost for me because it came out so early. Because I want to say I drafted it in our like pre-year drafts because
someone did.
The singles I listened to all the time, and some of them are still my favorite songs on the album. And so I found myself just like going back to the singles a lot.
I think Mother Nature ended up being in my top 5 songs of the year that I just played like all the time, just
on Spotify Rap.
Yeah. And that actually Spotify Rap was one of the things I was just like, oh yeah, I did listen to the album like a fuck ton when it came out. I should probably
it like reminded you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
that's MGMT Loss of Life. It's Hunter's number 10. My number 10 is What Now by Brittany Howard.
Hey, nice. It didn't make my list, but I love it.
Late entry here. I remember us talking a little shit about this album when it came out. It didn't connect.
It's just
immediately.
Well, it's I almost, when I listen to it, I almost feel like it's too good for me. Like I'm like, this is too.
It didn't hit you in the right
it's
point
heady.
of your life.
Well, it's just too like well constructed and like complicated and vibey that
Well,
like I feel like it's too cool for me.
That is the first impression that you get from it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But if you kind of take a breath and just put it on track one, listen through it all the way, it's not that weird and experimental. There are a couple songs where she does kind of go out there with the instrumentation, but this is not a crazy weird album. Like
No.
there's a lot of very kind of straightforward electronic influence here.
Yeah.
A couple songs like the title track, What Now? I couldn't put my finger on it, but it has a real heavy, almost like disclosure sound to the instrumentation. And then Prove It To You has like a Daft Punk little
It's like
vibe
electronic.
to
Yeah.
it. Like the slower Daft Punk stuff. And you know, maybe there are a couple skippable tracks in here. It's not a long album. It's like less than 40 minutes. And if you don't hit with every single track, maybe that's not like a home run. But there were a lot of moments listening to this thing that I was so surprised at how different it was from Jamie. And we loved Jamie. I think that was in my top 5 the year it came out. This one, you know, didn't blow me away at first. And it took me kind of going back and sort of refinding it and coming at it from a different angle, because it is very, very different from Jamie. She's trying a lot of different things here.
Yeah.
Jamie is it feels like a much more well-realized
ballad.
world.
It's like a ballad almost. And this is more like rocky, like
I mean, there's jazz, there's funk, there's like psychedelic stuff.
Yeah.
There's like really slow ballad stuff.
Yeah.
And then the electronic stuff as well. So it feels a lot like a transitionary album. Like the next one will probably be another home run. This one just feels like let's try a bunch of stuff. It's a classic like sophomore record from Brittany Howard.
I loved my favorite song was Another Day. Like that song was, it just starts off so like with the guitar riff right at the beginning. Ugh.
I really hope that you are right in that like this is a transitionary album for her, because I need to go back and listen to this again. I know I didn't spend enough time with it, but this just didn't resonate with me the way that I wanted it to. It's still like definitely a very good album. Like the craft is very obviously there. You could say that for every Alabama Shakes and every Brittany Howard record, that like there is just a level of quality that is better than most things that you will listen to. But this one just didn't have the stickiness with me that a lot of them have in the past.
I heard there's some rumors that she's either starting up the Alabama Shakes again or starting up like a hardcore band.
No.
I mean,
sick.
I think what this album shows is that she can kind of do anything.
She's got the voice.
She doesn't want to be put in a single corner. And I could see her, you know, almost pulling like a King Gizzard, like do a thrash metal album. I don't know. Let's hear it. I'll hear it.
People are saying she might be the next King Gizzard.
Yeah. She alone. She's all of the Gizzards.
Where you don't just do one genre, you do all of them.
Gizzard.
This honestly, I feel like I'm almost saying it's like more of like a me problem than a her problem, because it's like it's undoubtedly incredible music, but this honestly happens with a lot of artists nowadays, because in the indie realm you're sort of able to start more out there than you used to be, like, and you can find people more easily on the internet. So a lot of these like acts, by the time they get to their second album, they're like way out there with it. They don't have to be catchy for you anymore. Like they can get straight to what they want to do as a musician. And sometimes it just leaves the area of like catching me, I guess.
Yeah. Artists and music move so fast these days, like a lot of things, that like they get their 10,000 hours in well before what you would traditionally expect from like an old school band, even like 10, 15 years ago.
And there's just more access to like, you know, to studio time and instruments and technology than there ever has been. So you can do almost anything now. So they do, and good on them.
It almost didn't make my list. It was one of those that came in at the end cramming. And I think I put it on driving up to Tallahassee. And it's one of those where when you're just locked in the car and you cannot escape the music, it really just transported me. No distractions except focusing on the road. Perfect vibe for that.
And quick shout out to the album cover. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's her like laying in a field, but it almost looks like a painting. Yeah, really, really nice. All right, that is What Now by Brittany Howard is my number 10. Drew, number 10.
English Teacher.
Nice.
Thank God. I'm so glad this made it. This was like one of my hardest cuts. It's my number 12.
I didn't know where you'd have it.
Yeah.
Such a good one.
It's a banger of an album.
Yeah, really, really an awesome album. Almost like deceptively, like kind of big and bold and sort complicated. Like it has a lot of songs have a veneer of like a pretty standard indie song. And the more you sort of dig in and the longer the song goes, they get like very progressive.
Mhm.
Like they're bringing in different genres. They're bringing in different instrumentations. They're changing up time signatures. Like it almost, because we're dealing in so much instrumentation and we're in this like grandiose like indie world. It almost reminds me a little bit of Black Country New Road.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
It's a great comp.
but
Without the sadness.
well, and also just the way Black Country New Road is constructed, like it comes across immediately as like big and epic in a way that this doesn't. This sort of like it grows on you in a way.
It's something that just like upon first listen, even upon the first couple tracks, you kind of like are like, okay, I think I have these guys pegged down. And then just as the album especially progresses, it has a incredible flow to it, like just track to track to track. The flow of the album is really, really amazing. And I do like that they can be catchy. Like it's not like they lose any kind of pop sensibility within all that.
I've been
Nearly
walking around-
Daffodils is a fucking banger.
I've been walking around every day saying Nearly Daffodils.
Daffodils.
Love that she's just talking a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Kind of like a dry cleaning. Remember them?
Yeah.
Really, yeah, just cool music. Very, very cool. Again, this is like a band that's really early on. Like I think
This is their first
Yeah,
full length album.
Wow.
Yeah, this is
What a great debut.
That's what I'm saying.
Incredible.
This is a crazy
Yeah.
debut.
It won the Mercury Prize for the best
Yeah.
English album.
I saw that. That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool prize.
Yeah.
It has an interesting history.
Yeah.
It is under a million listeners, so that's one for the Drew tally.
Really?
Yeah, a
Wait,
million monthlies.
is under
The Mercury Prize winner is qualifies for
they're all like 4, 2, 1.
I think he's
one.
looking at the
monthly
total.
listeners.
Oh, the monthly.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
sorry,
total
okay,
artist.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the mark.
Danny's starting a tally for bands I choose that no one listens.
I love R&B and
Yeah.
Broken Biscuits. Those are
World's biggest paving slob.
I thought you were just saying
so
like
good.
musically.
no, yeah.
I'm the
enjoy
world's
it.
I like
biggest
R&B.
paving
Okay,
slab.
Ernest. This is not that. This is
This is our top 10 genres of
Yeah.
the year.
Also, I'm not crying, you're crying.
Oh yeah, it's
That's-
so good.
It goes hard.
It's a great album. It's
Great
this
pick.
really this and one other thing were my two hardest.
Yeah,
cuts,
and like I
I'm glad
said,
made
it may come across as like standard indie that could have come out anytime in the last 10 years. The more you listen to it, you're like, this is so current, and this is so much better. Like it's still growing on me
Mhm.
as we speak.
This Could Be Texas
Mhm.
by English Teacher is Drew's number 10. That's the first round. We're doing great, boys.
Wow. There's been no stops yet so far.
I forgot to mention this at the top, but if
Here we
you're,
go. There's a stop.
if you're new here, we don't know each other's lists. It's a big surprise for us. And if there's overlap, we save it for whoever has it the highest on the list. Okay. So just had to get that out of the way in case people are confused and you're tuning in for a Listomania for the first time. Number 9, Danny.
I have Love Heart Cheat Code by Hiatus Kaiyote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pop off.
How many fucking monthly listens Hiatus Kaiyote?
I
get these
don't know,
days?
but I may be a victim of the Drew
Yeah.
Merchant. Yeah. Let's take
1.3, 1.3.
Oh, okay.
You're clear. You're in the
clean.
clear.
We're clean.
That's fucked up.
All right. So Hiatus Kaiyote, again, Something's in the Water in Australia.
Oh, this is Australian, brother.
They've been around forever
Mhm.
too.
Yeah, they have. But this was the first album that, like, aside, like, so I used to listen to their stuff and it's like a couple singles and
Yeah, but it was
you know,
like this was like late 2000s, right? Like 20.
I want to say like early 2010s.
Early
maybe?
2010s,
Yeah.
2013,
Yeah.
2015.
So it's like jazz, soul, funk. It's but it finally feels like they've gotten enough money to make like a full, like fledged project. And led by a female singer. So Danny does not hate women, just letting everyone know.
Okay, good.
That's the count that I'm keeping.
Yeah, we want to
for your ass. And people are just gonna be like, why is he counting that? Is there a problem with Danny usually? I'll let you decide.
Did Sabrina Carpenter crack the
listen.
top 45?
Here's the thing. All you're doing is you're just putting the data out there. You're not making any kind of decisions. You'll let everybody at home
Mhm.
draw their own conclusions, but
Danny thinks that these women out here should be acting like women, not brats. Not brats during summer.
He said Tom Hanks should have played the Helen Hunt role in Castaway.
So yeah, it's a really fun jazz album. Excellent instrumentation. I mean, if you were a fan of Thundercat's last album, I think you'll like this. It's a lot more singing.
It is what it is. Was that the last one?
It is what it is. Yeah.
God, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's a couple years.
What's Boy up to?
3 years. He said he has new stuff coming.
Okay.
But like I said, I can't really talk too much about it unless you like listen to it. But like when it comes to like the jazz notes and the funk she brings to it, it's really, really well done. A couple things I wanted to note was that there's a song, an interlude song called BMO is Beautiful. And it has Nikki Yang, who did the voice of BMO on Adventure Time.
Cool.
Doing the interlude.
That's neat.
Yeah. And then they go into the song.
I was misspelling. The spelling of
Coyote is different. It's like Kai. Yeah.
They don't know how to spell in Australia.
It's alternate, it's all made up. All words are made up.
If you think about it.
Sure.
That literally could be a fucking like Aboriginal word. What do we know?
Oh my God, the album cover rocks. Wow.
Yeah,
that does look like some kind of indigenous
cool.
painting.
Yeah, it's super cool. There's like another song I wanted to nod, Make Friends. It's like a kind of about like how everyone always tells you like, go meet new people. And like this song is kind of like, your friends are like just fine. Like you don't have to make new friends if you don't want to.
Hey, that's the anthem of the fucking pod.
Yeah, and that's why I stopped making friends when I was 14 years old. So
Wow, this was nominated for the Australian Music Prize.
Yeah, and then there's the song I guess it's the Temptations, My Girl.
Yep.
They kind of like they didn't borrow. They basically bit that whole like
interpolated
that.
That's how you don't get
take on the song
sued.
Telescope, and they do it really well. It's like a nod to the past, and I think they do it really well. But I won't take too much more time. But I think if you like jazz, funk, soul, and a female singer, you should definitely.
Well, I'm all in on Australia.
I'm telling you, there's something in the water.
Yeah, man.
And my list might have a little more Australia in it.
Yeah.
You never know.
Oh,
all right. So the name
I didn't even mention that English teacher as a female singer because you know what? I don't see that.
I don't see gender.
Well, you guys always make a point about Danny hates women.
No, we say that you hate pop music. I didn't single it down to women. What are you trying to say?
I love
Danny?
pop music. Just
No,
not
that's not
that pop.
right, not girl pop.
Okay.
The name of the album is
duly noted.
Love
Boy pop. Danny loves Troye Sivan.
Love Heart Cheat Code
By Hiatus Kaiyote.
Hiatus Kaiyote, and Hiatus Kaiyote is spelled very strange, and it's gonna take you a couple tries.
Hiatus is spelled correctly, but Coyote,
I was gonna say if you just type hiatus, nothing else is popping up on Spotify. So
I know I was
clear.
I was
go
on
that hard.
Wikipedia.
You were moving too quickly to type. Yeah. Okay.
All
Wait,
right.
do you search? I'm sorry. Do you go to wikipedia.com and then search from Wikipedia?
For the purposes of this podcast, yes.
You don't search through Google and then click on a Wikipedia page?
sometimes.
Mine's-
That's how I found it.
My streaming service is actually Wikipedia Plus. No, that's where I get my music.
You donated?
It's like psychotic.
Yeah, that's what happens when you give them like $1.
I didn't
you
know
gotta
like
give.
I thought that like if you tried to like use the Wikipedia search engine, they'd be like, "Sir, have you donated $27 today?"
Oh yeah.
Like they just pops
That
up. and
does
they're like,
happen a
we don't
lot.
have a search engine yet. They're like a 2B.
Number 9, Hunter.
Number 9. I'm starting to think that y'all's Australia is my Ireland. Because my number 9 is Fontaines D.C.
Hell yes.
Gonna have to wait a little bit.
Oh,
Let's go. Okay.
Our
okay.
first save it of the
I was
day.
scared.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good.
Awesome. Good to hear.
Not too soon. Not too soon. It's good.
Okay. My number 9 is an album called This Wasn't Meant for You Anyway by Lola Young.
What the hell?
Has anyone
the list
heard of
I've
this?
heard of this album.
Okay. This
I don't even have to, Danny. It's low.
this
Lola
album
Young.
I just searched Lola Young and it said, "Are you sure?"
No.
this
31.5.
album was
Oh my God, she has so many listens.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Are we just old?
I think we might be.
She's headlining Bonnaroo, dude.
I got to shout out my brother Mauricio. He has turned a corner and become so tapped into good music.
Wow.
There's another album on my list coming up soon that he turned me on to. He showed me this. It didn't stick at first. This is another late entry. This is another cram. But
pop music?
Okay, so yes.
Hear me out.
But it feels so incredibly fresh and uncompromised. Like the whole theme of this album is that she doesn't want anyone to tell her what to do or what to sound like or what to say. There's another female artist that popped off this year called Doechii, whose album
awesome.
has a very similar vibe, but that's very much in the hip hop side of things.
Okay.
This one, you could say that it does have a little bit of a hip hop feel to it, but it's kind of genreless. The closest thing that I could say is that it is like a rock album. It has more of a rock feel to it. She's very British. Her accent comes through hardcore in all these songs.
Do I have space for two like rebellious British pop stars in my life? I don't know.
I mean, her accent is, I think, a lot more intense than English teacher.
I did. Hunter just showed me.
I'm talking about fucking Charlie XCX.
Charlie. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hunter just showed me she's on Chromacopia.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. What's the track? That
Like him.
Like
oh,
him.
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. She put an album out here that I think is one of those that you can't really skip many of the songs. It's kind of a no skips. And that is really what made me put it on the list, because this was the Jack White slot. Like Jack White was right in this slot. The songs on this album, I just kept wanting to listen to them over and over. There's such a high energy to this album. The intensity of her vocal delivery is so emotional. Like there is it's not just a fun sort of energetic party vibe. It's kind of like a really emotional and heartfelt, at least from the lyrical side. It's fun. It's goofy. It doesn't want to conform. If you want to just pick out a couple tracks that might grab you, Messy and Conceited, or I should say Conceited and Messy, because that's how they are on the track list, number 4 and number 5. Just listen to those and then come back to me and tell me what you think, because holy crap, what a fresh, exciting, young, new voice Lola Young is. So again, shout out to Mo. Showed me this album, really blew me away. Didn't hit immediately. I had to kind of come back to it, but I've already awarded Jack White. He made my list last time he put out an album.
Your list has been blue enough.
He always makes you fun.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
So we had
You're
such...
like, pick a different color, Jack.
Right.
Make a red album and then I'll put it back in my top 10.
We had such an overflow of great music this year.
Yeah.
I had to represent something that I had no idea existed until this year. And that's Lola Young. The name of the album is This Wasn't Meant for You Anyway. Really excited to see what she does next. That's my number 9. Drew, number 9.
Danny joined me. It's Cloud Nothings.
Oh,
Let's go.
yes.
Cloud Nothings
Nice.
Final Summer.
I knew it.
Great album.
Really just took me by surprise. To be honest, I didn't think they had this much gas in their tank. They've been steadily putting out music. Attack on Memory is from, I think, 2012.
2012. Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite albums ever. And it's great, just like punk music. Like it's almost, you would call it pop punk, but not in like the modern like
Pop
way.
punk.
In the way that like 80s pop punk was pop punk.
Yeah.
Almost like it like Dead Kennedys almost. But that album's incredible. The album after that is good. What's the one after it called?
It is very
The one
good.
with Modern Act is I forgot what it's called. It's the blue one.
Either way, so they have 2 great albums, and then I would say, and I think most people would say, they sort of fell off as a band.
Yeah, Life Without Sound. It's not the next one after it, but it's the one that came out in 2017.
They were a band, if you
Yeah.
go back, that was like weirdly extremely hyped before their first album, because their singer released really, really rough cut lo-fi songs on like MySpace or something like that, or maybe Bandcamp. But he had like quite an online following. So they were so hyped, and I think never lived up to that expectation that they had in the music scene. This album just rocks, though. It goes back to what they were great at in the first place. It's lower-fi. It's weirdly no skips. Like that's what I wasn't expecting. Is it maintains the level of energy throughout the album that I want from them. I want energy from them, which I know it's hard to keep up when you're like sort of a hardcore band and you're aging. And now I know he like has kids and stuff. So it makes sense that he was putting out like different types of shit. But like the energy's back here.
Yeah.
I always say that my favorite thing about them, and in their first album, Attack on Memory, very much so. By the way, that album produced by Steve Albini, rest in peace. He died
R.I.P.
2024.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting producers and people of all time. That's speaking of Wikipedia. Go to Steve Albini's Wikipedia pages.
Good luck.
Yeah,
Incredible.
just see the work that he
incredible
that they worked
engineer, professional like poker player,
Yep.
a true like
Did
interesting.
he
dude.
actually? And I'm sorry, Spotify was stupid with the way they lay out albums. Sometimes Here and Nowhere Else is the album that came out right after that, 2 years later. Which is honestly, I think that like as an album, I think that I might like it more than Attack on Memory. I don't think that there's a single song on there that is as good as Wasted Days. But I do. Both of those albums are absolutely incredible. Like they're bangers.
Yeah.
And then they did kind of feel like a band that was like, you know. They'll play like legacy acts. They'll play like, you know, your like punk festivals and like smaller things.
Yeah,
like that.
and
But
they
kinda
were
just
they
felt
were
like that
putting
was
out
it.
albums, but they were getting they were not drawing anybody,
Mhm.
and they didn't really draw me. They did like a dual EP with Waves at one point that had a couple interesting songs. Yeah, this album brings it back. My favorite choice that the band makes in their production when they're good is playing the instruments as hard as they can, which is not something that a lot of bands do in the studio because it's being captured really well. You don't need to play it hard. And I think a lot of punk bands go wrong when they go into the studio because of that.
It gives it more of like a raw feel.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Like a lot of bands you can tell just lose the energy in the studio compared to live. They sound like they're playing a live gig.
They want to play the
Yeah.
fuck out of the guitar.
Yeah,
play the
they're-
fuck out of the drums.
And the drums.
It's the guitar to the point of distortion. Their drummer is one of my favorite drummers ever. If you watch him on like one of their KEXP sets, his set is so low to the ground. He's basically like slamming like under him. I've never seen anything like it.
Full power.
He also only has a great setup where it's just like one giant ride and like a hi-hat and then like 2 or 3 drums and that's it. And he fucking rips
That's all
it.
you need. Yeah.
He absolutely rips it. So great band. If you like their original sound, like you got to check this album out. It kind of came and went just because it was a crazy year and they're, they don't have hype behind them anymore, but awesome album.
It like the instruments kind of remind me of like really early on Fall Out Boy. But really early on.
Yeah.
It's
just slamming down on
just
it.
the guitar,
Yeah.
alone. I remember like specifically with this album, like the moment I was like, this is a great album was the intro, like how it like builds up to Final Summer.
Yeah. Final Summer.
And it just like slowly comes in and then all of a sudden it's like, we're fucking in, you know?
Yeah. It's so great. I could put this higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a crazy year, but my God, I was just so elated to be like, oh my God, they're still around. Like they're not, it always makes you sad when someone you loved sort of tapers off.
I think the comp
Shout
to
out Front
Andy
Bottoms.
is actually a good, oh, sorry. Oh,
Love you, Brad.
good comp to Andy as far as his drumming style, like early Andy, pre even Take This to Your Grave Andy, like when they were in mixtapes and stuff. This is a great album. This is another one just got completely lost. It came out in April and I was like, oh man, this is great. Cloud Nothing's put out an awesome album again.
It's easy
This
to
is
listen
awesome.
if
And
you
just-
love like punky,
It's also
fast-hitting
really
rock.
short. I think it's like 30 minutes, less than 30
Yeah,
minutes.
it's all
29
killer.
minutes.
It's all killer, no filler. It's like 2.5
Yeah.
minute songs. Like
Yeah.
it rocks.
Mouse Policy was also on repeat for me. That was
Yeah.
like one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It's
But
Final Summer by Cloud Nothings. It's Drew's number 9. Damn, another round done, boys. We're looking good.
Well, how's time?
We shouldn't even ask. It's going to remind the listener of how much there is, and they will turn it off.
we're doing good. We're doing okay.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right,
We're fine.
all right.
All right.
Number 8, Danny. Also, can you pass a drink, please?
We're gonna need to open another thing because we have killed a box.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
I mean, we'll just
We're on number
get
8.
into Vizzies after, but we can do it before this. I think we're gonna need drinks because I need respect here.
Oh, is this the one that you're gonna get made fun of?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
100%. Could you get me another Vizzy?
Oh, he was being serious.
I'm very
no,
serious.
No. You have to. Danny's gonna shotgun a Vizzy on Mike.
Like
because of
I would
whatever-
just I
What
would like,
oceanic country are they from?
I would like to plead my case before I know there's gonna be giggles at the beginning.
Listen, here's the thing.
Okay,
This is,
thank you.
I will say, this is a positivity podcast. We
There's-
don't-
there's
we
We're
don't
no
make fun of
celebrating
each other.
our favorites.
There's no way I'm gonna get clowned, but I need you to hear me as to why it's a good album.
Okay.
Okay.
Say the name of the album.
My number 8 maybe we gotta save it. I don't know. It's Ultra 85 by Logic.
Jeez.
Yeah, I don't think we got to save that.
Okay,
So good
cool.
news there, buddy.
All right. So
Just off my list. Because I've never
It was a tough cut.
Number
because
10,
I never engaged with it or
Number
even
10.
knew it came out.
Did this album? Do you have a song about like who can relate? Woo!
No,
Okay,
we're
so-
celebrating.
so
I'm sorry.
So that's what I was gonna get to. This album is Logic's maturity album. This is when he got older. He had a kid. This is it. It's him revisiting one of his first mixtapes, The Incredibly True Story,
Which, to your credit, it is not bad.
yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Not bad at all.
Yes, actually, I did
this,
like that.
This album is a shout out to that album specifically. So he revisits it. And like to put it into perspective, there's a song on it called Deja Vu, which he has DJ Drama on. So he remixes that song, Fade Away, where it's very braggadocious.
Which yeah, I enjoyed Fade Away.
Yeah, it's a
good
very
beat.
braggadocious song. So this one, he flips it. And this song
Ernie is
about-
making the biggest scowl, like the most
I'm just seeing
judgmental.
it's 20 songs and 77 minutes.
So yeah, because
That,
there's a
that
lot of
look you were
there's a
giving
lot
your
of-
computer was like disgusting.
One of my main complaints is the skits. Like
Okay.
there's like skits.
Oh,
that-
it's good.
no.
Okay.
There's unnecessary skits.
Yeah, so number
So-
8. Yeah.
That's
Any,
why it's in.
any cameos by Rick or Morty?
Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, so there's too many skits. But the thing is, going back to the Fade Away song, he remixes it and it's called Deja Vu, and it's him revisiting like back then I was rapping about, wanting to be a big rapper and become famous, and I'm so cool, no one can touch me, I'm not gonna fade away. But this one's more so like, I'm cool fading away at this point. Like I've made my money. I do this because this is my escape from the torment I experienced as a child. And that's like how it starts. It's like,
Damn,
okay,
that's heavy.
what's going on? So one of the songs I'll shout out is called Teleport, and it's super corny. I'll when I explain it, but it's every time he says the word teleport, he teleports to a new traumatic moment in his life.
Oh my God.
So he talks about getting molested. He talks about when his
Jeez.
father disowned him, the first time he shot a gun, the first time he ran from the police, like things like that. And it's like the revisiting of, I think like when he had a kid, he finally was able to be like, this is how I can portray what I went through. Cause he tried doing it. Like he definitely did. And more often than not, it was ass.
Mm.
But listening to this, there's a lot of jazz inspired beats. It's really well done. Really good wordplay. There's a song in it, he loves Quentin Tarantino. So it's called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He makes references to the movies and how he looks at them differently in like his favorite Quentin Tarantino movie changed as he got older and why. And he relates it to a moment in his life that like changed that.
Is it
So-
Django now?
I don't know specifically, but he just talks about how like Pulp Fiction was like super cool, but like not anymore. Cause like, I don't know. I can't really describe it unless you like give it a listen. But like
Logic watching Tarantino movies and being like, okay, if he can say it, then I gotta be.
it's super
Come on.
I mean, that's
The whole-
crazy.
the whole like biracial thing like gets outplayed, but he really doesn't touch on it a whole lot.
I know.
here.
No, he gets too much shit
Well,
because
I-
he's just like a corny
No, it's
guy,
because
but he's
he's-
made good music before. He
Yes,
has.
I feel bad making jokes now because
The Suicide
so
song,
heavy.
the Suicide song was like so corny.
No, it's
Like,
Yeah,
it
exactly.
really was.
Exactly.
But like he does it in such a good way in this album that he touches on like all these like really hard hitting moments in his life, and he portrays it in such a way where it's kind of like in Hey Ya, where it sounds like it's fun, but it's not.
Yeah.
Like, and it's
Outcast. Hey,
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like that's what this album was to me, and there's so many like good like beats in this, and like his word flow, and it's very catchy. It's a very good album, and
What's up with the album cover? The robot.
I have no idea. I think it's just because he's in the future on a spaceship again. Because in an incredibly true story,
yeah.
he's in a spaceship.
Okay.
But like, I think it's like it's
Who's
nod,
spaceship? Rick's.
It's like a nod to the past, but it's more so like this is who I am now. I'm completely like, it was just like he had nothing to lose kind of thing.
Mhm.
He wasn't trying to impress anybody, and that's why like I think he finally made an album that's like worthy of like a list.
I'm gonna give it a shot. Every album you guys talk about today, I'm gonna try it. Okay.
I think it's definitely worth a listen. I'm trying to see if there's any more notes I have. Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
Listen, he wasn't a guy who was just like always not talented. I did like Incredible True Story whenever it came out in like 2014, 2015.
He suffers more than anything from being very easy to make fun of.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
He also
big-
looks like Anthony Fantano.
exactly.
Is funny.
I think if he had started dropping music in like the early to mid 2000s, I think he would be like the biggest star in the world.
Yeah.
If it's worth anything, Fantano gave this album an 8.
Oh my god.
Hey,
Yeah.
that is
It's because they're friends.
It's because they look
He's
like
They-
given
they hang out now.
everything he's
That's
ever
not true.
given
Yeah.
a 5.
he'll be pretty objective even when he's friends with them. So respect him for
what do you
that.
think he would give this episode right now? Like a
Fantano,
three?
I
he
guess it'll
would
depend
hate
on
this.
what the
What the top?
what the top of this list.
I don't know, but I know he would fucking enunciate way too fucking much. That fucking toothy bitch. Let's start
That's
some
what
beef.
my-
fucking
They-
divorced as shit.
I know we like to joke, but it's worth mentioning that we want to celebrate this episode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This
Yeah.
is an
We
episode of
want-
positivity.
There's
There's
jokes
gonna be nothing
aside.
fun of.
I mean,
This
you could tell, but like my defense of it is like how strongly I stand behind it, because it truly. I was just like, I didn't know he had it in him,
Right.
Like talking about these moments, like he's always touched on them, like, oh, I'm biracial, I was
Right.
ridiculed, but like this was like, I was like, there's a moment he talks about like, he's in the basement and his dad's girlfriend is molesting him, like, and it's
Right.
just like shit like that, and it's just like, okay, whoa, what's going on here?
Ultra 85 by
Great album.
Logic is Danny's number 8. Hunter, number 8.
Well, see, now that you did all that, now I feel bad making my joke.
I hope you don't have a Coheed album.
No, my number 8 is The Death of Slim Shady by Eminem. While we're just here, one boys rapping.
Reissue?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
it's
there's
not
no
that. My number 8 we're gonna have to wait on. It is Brat by Charlie.
Yeah.
Number 8.
Yeah, save it, dude.
Bump at that.
Number 8.
Listen, it's
Number 8?
here's the thing.
Right.
It is. We'll talk about it whenever we get to it.
I know Danny.
Is it the album of the year?
Danny loves
Yes.
women.
Yeah, I have it at 0 actually,
All
so
right.
I save it over everyone.
Yeah.
My number 8, I'm very
Where would Logic have Brat on his list?
Probably like 3.
Does Charlie say it?
Charlie can say it.
I'm very curious
Uh-huh.
if you have.
No, she can.
Okay, what is it? Well, so what are you gonna say?
I'm very curious if you have this, Danny. My number 8 is 3 Times by Gum and Ambrose. Kingsley
Wow.
Save it.
Smith. Yeah, that's what I thought.
You guys are freaks. You guys are little Australian
Are you
little,
great?
little
You guys
fucking
know-
freaks.
Have you listened to this
It's
album?
pretty good. I like it.
Okay.
It's just
No.
you guys are just like
It's a save it.
funny.
It's a hard save it for me.
Why don't you guys should just fucking move to Australia together? You
Maybe I
fucking
will.
weirdos.
All right, what have you got?
Number 8.
Number 8. This is a solo didgeridoo album by my favorite.
Check the listeners. Check the monthlies,
They're like 100 million.
and they're all didgeridoo guys.
My number 8. I don't know if we'll have to wait, and I actually really wanted to put this a lot higher, but it is Imaginal Disc by Magdalena Bay.
Save it.
It's an incredible.
I
album.
cannot believe this.
I
is
can't wait to
your
talk.
number 8.
Save it. Save it. Save it.
I can't wait to talk about
So
it.
it's my turn again,
Wow, that was a big overlap.
We got a
around there.
big loop.
and we're back to me.
number 7.
We're back to me, baby.
Did Bombay Bicycle Club put out a album
No,
this year?
you know who did? The boys from Australia, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, fight B741. Is there a save it?
I had to limit myself to one Australian
I
slot.
don't give a fuck. Technically,
On my
two different
top
bands.
Wait,
so
wait.
I was
So hold on. I just want to get a count here. So you're at 3 Australian artists and 1 woman so far. Is that right? Is that the count for the people at home? Is that
so
where we're
far.
at?
So far, yes.
Okay,
so
cool.
far,
That's
yes.
what-
So far, yes.
That's what I confirm.
Great album.
Yeah, it
Ernie,
is.
will you put like a ticker on the screen?
A
Hey,
leaderboard.
the Golden Globes had a count of which companies were winning, what
the
production
meter,
studios were winning.
the
We-
Danny feminist meter, and then the Australian meter.
the kangaroos just stacking the board.
I'm
right
sorry,
now.
but coming into the night, Australians were like plus 4.5 over women mentions.
Shouts out to the boys. I'll stand up so you guys can.
If you're not on the YouTube, Danny is wearing a King Gizzard shirt. He saw them live. He's about to see them live again 3 nights in a row at
Oh, yeah.
Bonnaroo.
So it's a great album. It's the boys this time
They're
decided
getting twangy.
they wanted to go blues.
Yeah.
They wanted to go blues rock.
They're getting boogie woogie with it.
Yeah, it's a fun album. There's no depth to it. We're not getting deep. We're just having a good time.
Jam.
We're hanging with the boys.
Yeah.
We're chilling. There's a couple cool themes like, taking risks and stuff like that. But it's just a fun album. The whole theme of the album, well, there's a theme throughout, but it's
They want to be very American, right? It's very
it's-
like homegrown Americana kind of.
what's the song? Is it Hog Calling Card? It's like when they have like the pig squeals in
Yeah.
it. So it's a pig themed airline. I knew that would get him.
You guys are not allowed to make fun of Coheed ever again.
Listen, this is what I fucking feel like when I'm out here. I'm like, oh, you guys are the pig themed airline.
Yeah, my project. There's like a fucking alphanumeric code in the album name. No way, dude.
You guys are like Vaxis. What the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah.
Hunter, you've been getting it too hard from these guys.
Listen.
I'm still allowed to make fun of
Oh, okay.
all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait until you put a fucking Gizzard song or album on your top 10 next year. It's gonna hit. You're gonna get got.
You're
I
gonna
guarantee
be
you.
like 15 years down the road, you're gonna be at Universal Studios Mardi Gras. And King Gizzard's gonna be playing.
Oh my
and
God.
You're gonna be like, wait a sec.
Wait, is that what you wish for King Gizzard? Is for them to be relegated to a fucking Mardi Gras
they're like-
act?
they're
It
like-
happens to everybody.
They're
okay?
like Sugar Ray
It
in
happens to
15 years.
everybody.
Like 30 seconds to Mars.
Yeah, they're like Nelly, like just showing up in Orlando.
It's like, oh my God, they're playing the Food and Wine Festival this year. They're going on right after Boys to Men.
You're
Oh,
gonna
gin blossoms.
you're gonna see them at Universal Studios. You're gonna be like, wait a sec, is this the band Danny and Ernest we're talking about all these years? And then you're gonna be like, this is a catchy tune,
Okay.
and you're not gonna be able to stop. You're not gonna be able to stop, and you're gonna be like,
I'm
wow,
gonna be-
Nonagon Infinity, what's this?
I like the band.
Yeah.
I don't dislike the band. I don't get as much. I think you guys are a lot closer to just being in. If you would let yourself, I feel like you could just get into like the string cheese incident.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean?
Jammy.
Yeah.
I like jam music.
Yeah,
but
like,
the thing
This is just like that, but like with like cool guitar effects and like filters and stuff.
but they do like
Which is,
every-
I mean, that makes it
every
better to
genre.
be honest.
They
Like,
do like every genre, and
Yeah.
they decided to do blues rock this time. Their last album was electronic. You
Yeah.
know?
I know
It
they're
is cool.
listen,
The way
they're a
that
really
they-
cool band. I
the way
like
that
them.
they are constantly reinventing themselves is very, very cool. And the way that they reinvent themselves, and it doesn't just feel like you're like getting like a neutered down version of the artist. Like I think the other person who this makes me think of is now I'm blanking on his name because I've had two high nudes, but a guy who's made our list before who's just
Ty Segall?
Ty Segall, yeah. Ty Segall, where you just kind of don't really know what you're getting into from album.
You
to
don't
album.
know, but you know you're getting a lot of albums.
Yes, and it's the same kind of thing.
Exactly.
I think
Yeah, very similar.
I'm following the Ty Segall field of things over the Gizzard side of things, but I.
By
still
the way, he
respect
put out a
Gizzard.
good album in 2024. So
Ty
Yeah.
Segall did.
yeah, it's a good one.
I put an album on his list last year. I can't do it. I no 2 years in a row. That's a rule that I have.
hey, that's honestly part of why I find it hard to get into King Gizzard. It's like almost like how
So
I felt
much.
about Game of Thrones, where it was like season 4, and I was like, I feel like it's too late.
It's too late
Yeah.
to get into it.
And I
it's
know
like-
it's good, and everyone talks about it. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. What am I gonna start
incredible.
listening to Fish now? Oh, what album do I start on first or like 72nd? Like I don't know where to get
so
it.
like I think with this band is that since they do so many different things, there's really only like depending on what kind of sound you like, there's really only like a handful of albums that like out of the 20 or whatever that like you'll like be really
Yeah.
with. And that's when you start expanding. Once you listen to those 5 and be like, okay, what else have they got?
Well, also we should say they started their own label. This is the first album on the new label, and so the Gum Ambrose Kenny Smith album is on that label.
Mhm.
The Pip Eye album was also
Pipe
on
Eye.
Pipe Eye. So I think that for me personally, this album is a little bit just a notch below because you can tell that they're kind of like seeding the field to their friends. And the Gum album, we'll get to it. Like that one to me feels way more like of a moment. It feels like a big musical moment. This one is just like guys having fun jamming, which is great.
They're having fun, and it was one specific moment for me that like when this album like truly clicked. Like I liked it from the get go, but when I was driving in Lake Tahoe listening to this album, and that was kind of like when it was like, okay, like I understand this album, but there's a reason why the Gum album's higher for me because yes, it's a big moment. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
You're driving and it's
it's good. It's good. I got the sweat feeling down my spine.
741. All right.
Yeah.
They say the alphanumeric code in the song.
Yeah.
You guys are really
You
guys are really pushing
Yeah,
me.
you really don't know how to like how to pull people into the cult.
Hunter, this is what
cultivating
you
here.
sound like every time you talk
I
about
don't know,
code.
man. I don't know about all
You're
this.
like, yeah, he actually wrote a comic book about the album.
Oh, I would love a Gizzard comic book.
Yeah, for
God,
sure.
That would hit so
you
hard.
guys.
God,
I-
I'm just saying, you guys are.
You guys are the
Y'all
same.
better shut
you guys
your
are all the
fucking
same
mouth.
No,
fucking
I'll,
person.
I'll tell you though.
Drew, you're no better. Drew, you're just like, well, there is this one artist. Well, it's not actually an artist. It's actually a woman on the street, and she's like
Yeah.
banging a piece of sheet metal on the
Yeah.
sidewalk. And I did sign her to a major label. I signed her to a 5.
Yeah, that's the
deal,
difference.
and,
My artists, I sign them.
okay. You know talent when you see it.
My top 10 are all under my label.
I will say when I did see this band live, like
St.
I think,
Augustine.
yeah, in St. Augustine, and it really Mitz and I just kept looking at each other like, what the fuck is going
Disbelief,
on? This
yeah.
is crazy. Like this is too much.
King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Flight B741 is Danny's number 7.
Hunter.
Number 7.
Let's keep it a little bit more country, a little y'alternative, if you will.
Okay.
This one is
Oh.
unfortunately we're gonna have to add one to my count here because number 7 is gonna be "To Dream of Something Wicked" by Matt Kerekes.
Oh,
Hey, you're deep in the Kerekes zone.
Listen, here's the thing. So Matt Kerekes, for those who don't know, he is the lead singer of the band Citizen. Pretty like big emo band, especially in the 2010s.
They had one album that hit really hard, got really solid like play.
I think
Pretty popular.
that album, Youth by Citizen, is a incredible album. I didn't really listen to it at all though in the time.
No, me neither.
They're kind of just one of those bands that honestly, wife of the pod like showed me because she was super into it like right around 2013 or so, whenever that came out. But that is a great album. Honestly, one of the better emo-y albums from that era. I think that is kind of a soft period for emo, like right around early 2010s. It's a little bit of in between like the heyday of emo sound of the aughts into like the late aughts, early teens. And then I think that kind of had a revival really like right around the time that Gami came on the scene in like 2019 or so, but even just right the years before that. And I think that emo is having a moment right now. And I think that this album, what makes it special is that if anything, if I was to bring somebody in who's like part of that scene to check this album out, I would call it cowboy emo. It is, and this is my pitch to you guys, it is acoustic driven emo music. Think like scream along choruses, something akin to an early Fall Out Boy, something that we are also, or early From Bottoms.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's less like country feeling to me, more so than just it's acoustic.
Yeah,
like it's
just acoustic punk.
Yeah,
pop.
which is a really interesting mix. Like it's just one of those things you don't see in a lot. I always call on like I wish more bands like full-fledged like rock bands would lead with an acoustic rhythm guitar. When Front Bottoms did that, they were amazing. Tenacious D, every band that does that is cool. Like Neutral Milk Hotel.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't happen much.
I think that this is really cool. And honestly, I like this album itself more than any Citizen, and more than the Citizen album Youth, more than any album that I have listened to of his or any artist that he's been affiliated with before, because I think that there's more to it here than just emo. And it's clear that Matt has a lot on his mind that he really wants to get out and that he's able to utilize through this solo career. He's still like Citizen still tours. I'm going to see a Citizen perform in a couple of months.
Here in town?
Yeah, they're playing,
Nice.
opening up for Movements. But he has all these other ideas sonically that he clearly wants to get off of his chest. And honestly, he can do it because he is an incredible songwriter and he has a fantastic voice. Like truly, it's becoming one of my favorite voices that is in the emo scene right now because it is so versatile. It has this rasp, this ability to yell, but still stay on pitch, which I know sounds like something that's simple, but you know, It's not a guarantee, especially whenever it comes to like the songs are good, but you don't really know necessarily what you are getting. You get more soft boy emo or you get more screamy emo. And I think that he does a really good job of the yelling and making that come across right. And I think that his voice also warrants itself really well for more singer-songwritery heavy stuff. So like if I was to draw somebody, I'd say check out songs like Figure Eight, Motorbike, Morning Star. All of those have a lot of emo and pop punky sensibility to them. But as what really made this album continue to grow on my list and just become a no skips for me, frankly, is in the ballads, in the quieter moments that are on here, where you have things like Navy Blue that is just this, it's 2 notes on a guitar, on an acoustic guitar that just kind of keeps building and building as it is happening. And you just have the drums there just slowly building throughout the whole song. It's gorgeous. It is absolutely beautiful. It's incredible. Like you're driving alone in your car at night in like the still of night, especially like empty road. This album weirdly made me like super nostalgic for every time that I go out west and you're just driving and it's the road
desert.
And it's the mountains and there's nothing around you. That is kind of the vibe of this album. And it's funny because that's pretty much what the album cover is as well. It's like a watercolor painting, but it is an incredible album. Can't recommend it enough.
According to Wikipedia, Third Eyed Blind is one of his major influences.
Hey,
Yeah.
another band that used an acoustic.
So
There you go.
Incredible band. Yeah, this is it's a cool album. I know that also they're coming. You're going to that
He's
show?
coming. I bought tickets.
Yeah,
today.
he's coming here, and then a band that I got crazy into in 2024, even though they didn't put out an album, is opening, and so very excited.
Yeah.
Let's
So let's go. We're
Um,
gonna go to it. We'll be
his-
like us and like 7 other people.
So
at that show. Let's
his
go.
album from 2016, I would really recommend. I actually like that one more.
Luna and the Wild Blue
Yeah.
Everything.
I actually prefer Haunted House to Aqua.
Oh,
wow, that's a deep cut.
Yeah.
that's good. That's good.
But yeah,
I think both of them
interesting.
Are very good.
Yeah, I feel like he deserves more play
Yeah.
than he gets. Speaking of low play count, we're looking at 96K. here.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Wow.
I did now.
That's-
That
add it to the
where's
count.
that on the leaderboard?
Unfortunately, I think that I might have just taken the
96.
lead for the
96.
lowest yet. I didn't intend.
I
for
honestly
this to
think
happen here.
you might hold it with that.
Shit.
Damn. Wow.
No, it is a thing where like listening to it, I'm like, you know, I
Wait.
I wouldn't say I loved any Citizen records for the last couple of years. What if you just like went full time solo, buddy? Like you got the talent for it. You got the juice.
What's
for
the
it.
play count on Gum?
It's
That's gonna be low.
it's got to be low.
Oh.
It's gonna be low.
Uh oh. Is Matt about to get unseated?
140.
Do they have Spotify in
What about
Australia?
Ambrose? Ambrose Kenny Smith. Does he
Gotta be
even
lower.
is he even listed as his own
Well,
artist?
he has like a bunch of, of
84.
side
Yeah.
projects. He has Murlocs too.
84 for Ambrose. All right, so that is Hunter's 7. It is To Dream of Something Wicked by Matt Kerekes.
Kerekes.
Kerekes?
Kerekes. He is very white.
My number 7 is a little album called Prelude to Ecstasy by The Last Dinner Party.
Wow. Okay.
You guys heard of this
So,
album?
That came out this
I-
year, or was it last year?
It
was
was
this year.
early.
Yeah, okay.
Early. February 2nd, it was released.
Female
Um,
count, by the way.
Gotta shout out to Mauricio again. He showed me this band before this album came out, when Nothing Matters was the only single.
And you can hold me like the
You can
others.
fuck me.
Nothing matters.
And yeah, and all I knew was that song, and I thought, okay, this is fine. Like, I guess it's a nice little song. And then the album drops, and holy shit, this was another one that just kind of grabbed me on a drive, from Central Florida to North Florida, where you're just locked in the car with the music. This is very much like English Teacher, the ideal debut album. Like, this is in the 2020s what I want to hear from a new band kind of coming fresh out of the gate. Oh God, Drew's choking to death.
The Vizzy's fighting back.
It's a fully realized vision.
Yeah.
Is what this is. And I hate to say this, it's kind of what I wish St. Vincent was. It has that female driven rock vibe that I know St. Vincent hits, and it has hit for me. And the album this year is a good album, But this one, the Last Dinner Party album, it just kind of gave me a flavor that I've been looking for, that for some reason I was hoping I would find with St. Vincent, and I found it here. It's incredibly cinematic, emotional rock. And I know a lot of people would describe the St. Vincent album that same way, but for some reason it didn't quite hit me, and this one did. Excellent production across the board. Every song feels unique, dynamic, super tight track list, no skips, no filler. And I think the biggest thing for me, the thing that really sealed the deal to get it on the top 10 is it reminded me a lot lot of Fleetwood Mac. It is like,
okay.
Like
now you
Stevie
have my
Nicks-ish,
attention.
yeah, the lead singer, her name is
Stevie Nicks.
Wait,
Georgia.
Okay, keep going.
Georgia Davies. I guess they all sing. Abigail Morris is credited as the lead vocals.
There's like 3 vocalists, aren't there? 2?
We got Georgia Davies, Lizzie Mayland, Abigail Morris, Aurora Nishevi, and Emily Roberts.
All of them do vocals?
Yeah, and it looks like they all play instruments and do vocals.
Like backing vocals too.
Right.
Yeah.
Abigail Morris is listed as the lead vocals. So I guess her voice is the one that is the most similar to Stevie Nicks. It just feels like the closest thing that people must have felt when they heard Rumors or one of those Fleetwood Mac albums back in the 70s, back in that era, right? Like kind of a fresh, exciting voice for rock music that's got that tinge of nostalgia and also feels forward facing. I love this thing, man. It just is incredibly unique. I think the biggest thing for me, and I guess it ties into the Fleetwood Mac comparison, is that I really wanted to prioritize albums that I could easily recommend to people. This is an easy recommend album to anyone, no matter their music taste, and incredibly recognizable sound. That's something that I'm looking for a lot, is when you play something, it's people's ears are going to perk up and be like, what is that? That sounds different. That sounds unique. I don't think I've quite heard that sound before. It sounds familiar, but new at the same time. So it just checked a lot of boxes for me. Wikipedia describes it as Baroque pop, orchestral rock, indie pop. I guess I'll agree with that. I described it as like cinematic, right?
Yeah.
So it's got like a grand, expansive, just, big sound. I loved it, man. It's Prelude to Ecstasy by The Last Dinner Party. Great debut. Another British band. The Brits are here.
Female
The Greater United Kingdom.
Loved it so much. That is my
7.
number 7. Drew, number 7.
Schoolboy Q.
Save it.
I knew.
But not for too long.
Spicy. That's great.
Not for too long.
I'm excited.
Drew, did you not like this album? Is that what you were waiting to?
I didn't listen to it.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what you meant when you were before you choked out.
Yeah.
No, I was interested to hear your thoughts because they're one of those groups that I haven't dove into. I remember you posting about them earlier.
Honestly, you did
last
sell me.
year.
I've never.
I know
that
sell was very compelling.
Yeah.
I'm scared that I'm going to hear it and be like, wow, Ernie's a idiot.
Nothing
It's gonna be
matters.
like, duh, I'm music man, and you're like, yeah, no, this does sound like Fleetwood Mac. That's great.
Nothing matters is like the coda track at the end of the album. It almost feels like they kind of tacked it on because it was the single.
Yeah.
It's like the closing credits at the end of the movie. There's so much before then that will sell you before you get to that song.
Yeah.
Okay. So Schoolboy Q was my number 7. So now we're on to Danny.
Number 6. Wow, look at us.
Look at us. Proud of us.
You're trying to find the time.
Yeah.
This is another one that I might get made fun of, but I don't care. I need to be honest with myself. I listen to it a lot. And this is Clancy by 21 Pilots.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Almost top
Let's
5.
go.
All right.
I need to be honest with myself.
Okay.
I gave this one a couple shots.
Are we back to back Logic 21 Pilots?
King Gizzard was
King Gizzard was in there.
Okay. Well,
You get a
thank
Gizzard
God.
You know what,
sandwich.
Danny? I admire how true to yourself you can be.
Yeah.
You can only be true to yourself. when
There,
it comes to
there
music
are a
reviews.
couple songs.
Add a new tally on the screen. Pilots 21 for Danny.
Well, does King Gizzard count as one? Because it was a flight theme.
Oh shit! So we're at 22 pilots.
Jeez.
There's a couple pigs on here, so I don't.
my
I don't
God.
know.
22
There's
pilots and they're
right
all
there.
men.
All right, pop off.
0 stewardesses.
Yeah, I mean,
do they have any Australian ties? 21 pilots, like
zero Australian
Like a
ties.
I don't know.
I can't wait till
uncle.
you guys talk about Charlie. Oh my god.
Women.
Yeah, I mean, I won't get too much into it. I just think it's their second best album like ever.
Behind the big
Vessel,
one.
yeah. Vessel was like their best one by a landslide.
So this
one,
beats Blurry Face.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
But Blurry Face was like my second favorite for a real long time, and then they
This
started
clears.
this stupid dog shit story about Trench that makes no sense, and it's like I don't care.
That album wasn't terrible.
Yeah, but it's
Jumpsuit is a great song.
The
I love
thing-
that song.
the
but
thing that
nothing
bothers
else.
me is the story that they keep pushing.
Mm.
I don't give a fuck about it.
You don't think all my friends are demons
Yeah,
or heathens?
Yeah, like it's just like all these fucking the story that they keep pushing that everyone, all their fucking angsty emo
Yeah.
15-year-old fans go goo goo gaga over.
And
It's
yet you're
like-
just like, I want stories about pigs that fly planes.
Exactly. Is it that hard? You know?
God.
But
Do we have tabs on Blurry Face? Where is he?
Oh yeah, I forgot
Well,
that was a character.
All that I know is that
Oh my
he
God.
cares what we think. And what does he think if we don't think about him at all?
I don't know. There's like a bunch of like fan fiction bullshit theory about this. I listened to this album and like, you remember how before this pod started, I said, I listened to albums because they're either catchy or they had a good story. This was catchy to me.
Yeah.
This was catchy pop rock to me.
The first 3 songs are bangers.
Yeah.
It kind of loses me after that.
Next Semester is such a good song. But I mean, the thing is, the rest of the album, like for me, stands up pretty well. Like Vignette is another one that's like a powerful little ballad. There's a couple songs in there that I just don't fuck with like whatsoever. Like The Craving, super slow, boring. Lavish,
There's some
kinda lame.
skips.
Snap back. But the thing is,
But
like
if it's your number 7 though, you must really like the highs.
number 6.
Number
Yeah.
6.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the
I
highs
really
must be
do-
really high.
I do really
Yeah.
like the highs. And like the thing is, it was very like nostalgic in the fact that, you know, it brought me back to like the first time I
To
listened to
Vessel.
Vessel.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's kind of like why I was like, I just kept listening to it. And it was like
Yeah.
my number 3 artist of the year because I listened to those singles so much.
Well, Vessel kind of feels a little bit immature in hindsight. Not in
it
hindsight,
was,
but
like we
in
were also,
comparison.
it came out in 2013. Yeah,
Somebody stole my car radio.
exactly.
sad.
Again, they suffer from being very easy to make fun of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this it kind of feels like a little bit of an evolution.
Yeah.
You know, I'll try to take
They aren't like
the full
kids.
dive.
I'm gonna be honest. I did not listen to this album at all. You're saying it's back, like it's at
It's
least
the closest
a
they've ever
somewhat
been.
return
Did you
to
like
form.
Vessel?
I love Vessel.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
I
we
haven't
loved
listened
it. We
to
all
Vessel.
love Vessel.
Vessel was a very important album for us in college. Whenever that
I
came
think
out,
I think you'll like at least 5 songs.
Okay.
At least 5.
All right. Let's
Like it's
That's
a
worth
very
it.
good album, and for me, it was just so catchy. Some of them are even on the radio, but I don't listen to the radio, so it doesn't matter.
Well, now you just sit in silence.
Yeah.
No, I just
Yeah.
I know why you don't listen to
Yeah,
it.
Hunter,
Someone
what's
stole
your
your
6,
fucking
dude?
radio, bro.
sometimes quiet is
Um,
violence.
Yeah, it was.
Find it harder to hide. My mind is no longer inside.
Oh, it's all coming back, man. Off the dome.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, I'll come to the
I
next
could have
one,
kept
too.
going.
The
I
next
could have
one.
kept going. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Now we're hurting.
I'm sorry.
feelings.
No, listen.
no, it's
I'm,
cool, it's
I'm
cool.
saying it in jest. I fucking loved that song. Like I unironically, like
Yeah.
fucking just like would listen to
But
that song.
Again,
like,
it's good and it's
Good.
also really easy to make fun
Yeah.
of.
We
That's
were
two
in
things
the
could be
bag for 21 Pilots. Like
Yeah.
we're
No.
making fun of ourselves.
Our Plaza
Yeah,
year.
and that's like why it's so hard for me to admit that I like this because
Yeah.
it was like it like I know on the surface level it's like ass, but it's just so catchy.
no, but here's
Like
the
it's
thing.
so catchy to me that I just like I listen to it so much that even Mitch knows the words. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like that time when I first met Annabelle. She was fucking singing 100 Gex.
Oh my
you know,
God.
Let's go.
she's like me.
Yeah, and about my girlfriend.
Good job.
I'm a good influence.
Trash. Anyway, but yeah, it's a really good album.
My girlfriend's
I hate-
not trash.
No,
Yeah. How fucking dare you, Jesus?
I'll talk about
No,
Gex.
Danny,
No. Ernest, pause it.
Here's the thing.
Danny, you and the whip.
He's gonna choke again.
Here's the thing, Danny.
He's
You,
getting teary-eyed.
no, he's crying again. Drew, stop crying. Danny, you don't need to feel shame about this. You just saying that you're like, I feel like there's something inside of you that's fighting against like the fact
No.
that there's like, something that is like cringy, but just generally like poppy that like you want to almost rebel against. You're like, I want to listen to some fucking some Australian jam band.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay. If somebody just figures out the formula, that's okay. Guess what? Sometimes I like to watch Disney movies and cry. Okay. Like you just, when somebody knows a formula and they know how to press that button, cool. Let them press the button. Let it work.
The thing is like me putting this, I'm admitting that I liked it, but it's also like a guilty pleasure to me, you know? Cause like, I know
don't feel guilty.
It's objectively bad. Like it really is.
Wait, so it's bad?
like as a whole, like, okay, what I'm trying to say is that like, if there's someone you know that's like really into like obscure music, you're not gonna be like, dude, you should listen.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're saying.
The coolest guy I know.
You have to be selective about who you're.
So they expand on the trench story.
No, that's
like that's what I mean. Like,
right.
I'm not gonna. But like for me, it's my number 6 because I thought it was so catchy.
Yeah,
I listened to it so much. If it had a good story, it'd probably be top 3.
But don't gatekeep yourself. Don't be elitist against yourself.
And that's why it's on the list.
Good.
You know, I could have just stood up here and been like, dude, guys, like I loved Schoolboy Q.
Yeah, I only listen to Swans.
What the fuck?
This is like the Brian's hat meme. Like, what the hell?
This is like
Quit fucking with them.
The great Fallout.
I think he has 21 pilots on his list and he's afraid to tell everybody.
It's like when you guys almost killed each other over that Fallout Boy album that came out.
Oof.
Except
why would you bring that up right now?
We were doing.
We killed each other.
You're doing it to yourself.
You know the thing is, Hunter was the only one that stood up.
Sorry, we killed each other. I sat here. I got 3-on-1 ambushed around a fucking corner with my goddamn pants down and my wiener out.
I know how
it was just Hunter.
And you went there and you pointed at my little wiener. You jorked my little penis until nothing came out is what you did.
I didn't say shit when this happened, by the way. I let...
Yeah, you just like to watch, you little fucking sicko.
That's right. I saw that Danny didn't need any encouraging in order to go after your soul.
The thing is, everyone went after me, but I was the only one that listened to it aside from you.
That's why you knew it was so fucking bad.
I'm choked now.
Here's the thing.
Same thing with the last Coheed album. I was the only one that listened to it.
Yeah, it was pretty good, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. See,
So
okay,
21
yeah. So see, here's the thing. Okay.
I did.
We can all have things that make us happy.
Yeah.
New Coheed album coming 2025. I want you guys to all keep that in mind.
Are you gonna?
Here.
Can we talk about the Claudio cover album?
Nope. We sure can't. So my number 6 is
it's 21 Pilots
crossing out
Clancy.
Claudio cover
yeah,
album.
shit. No, we can talk about that at the end because I do have thoughts, but I don't want to interrupt the flow of this. My number 6, getting us back on track here. All I can say is thank God for me. It is Blue Lips by Schoolboy.
All right, go in.
Q.
Go in.
So here's the thing about Q. I have fucking loved Schoolboy Q for forever. Like I remember in very early high school going on DatPiff and listening to like the records that were like pre him like actually releasing major labels.
That's called a mixtape.
No, I know. I'm just talking about like
I know that was
that's
me.
like I'm going on DatPiff and I don't know what mixtapes are.
You're the first person I know who actually was into Kendrick, Schoolboy Q, and Isaiah Rashad. For some reason,
I was
had his finger on that pulse.
Listen, I was
really
early. I was early in on TDE.
He worked with these 2 older kids at a bowling alley. And they got him into Isaiah Rashad.
They showed me like J-Rock in like 2009 and like all these guys. And I was like, oh no, this is the future of hip hop. But Schoolboy Q in particular, like is one of those artists that I think and who knows? I mean, he's still relatively young. He still has like a whole career ahead of him. But I think that he is an artist that if you look at his career overall and like the potential that he had, I think that you would say overall it's a little bit of a disappointment because I think that whenever he is on point, I think that he's one of the best rappers alive.
Yeah.
I think that his flow, I think that his his lyricism that he has, he has like a hand in some of his production, but he likes to kind of work around with different things. But his choices that he makes as a rapper are always so
exactly. He's really, really unique. As an artist, he has certain flows that he loves to stick to that like I feel like only he does. Like he one of his favorite things is an AAAA rhyme scheme where he just and the cadence of is like it's
literally
like
that's literally what Yearn
Yearn
is.
101.
And Yearn is one of the best songs of the year.
He does that. He does it in like about half of his songs. He's he's so good at what he's good at. And I totally agree. Like if you were to predict, like 10 plus years ago, who would be the biggest rappers of today, you would say Schoolboy and Kendrick.
Yeah.
Schoolboy, I think for a while he's opened up about it, but he's been on Xanax, and that's one drug that kind of goes under the radar in terms of how badly it affects artists, but that's what killed Chance's fucking brain.
Yeah.
Like I think it took some time away from him.
I think so too. I'm really glad that he's back, because Blank Face LP is one of the best albums of the 2010s. I think that rap record is like incredible. It is borderline perfect in every way. And then he released Crash Talk in 2019. And here's the thing. I love Q. I forgot that album ever existed. Like that just did like absolutely.
I barely remember that.
Whenever we were like anticipated Schoolboy Q had a new album come out, I was like, oh my God, this is his first album in like 10 years, completely like erasing that album even came out. And Blue Lips just feels like such a incredible return to form. It's funny. This album almost kind of reminds me a little bit of and this is going to be a weird cross-genre comparison here, so bear with me, but of Gami Gang a few years ago by Origami Angel.
Whoa.
Where it is just, it's a long album. It is meaty. Some might say it's shaggy, but it's very clear that the person at the helm just has so many fucking ideas, and they just have to have like an explosion of ideas just to get it all out on the page. And I think that you can't listen to this album and think that Schoolboy Q left anything out there. Like, he is doing so many different interesting things. And if you look at the producers on this album, it is all over the place for different people. I think that's one of the things that keeps it fresh, despite being a long rap album.
Yeah,
and almost an hour. It's 56 minutes long. There is a little bit of fat here, but I also think like that's almost part of the charm. If Q is back, I want him to almost
loaded.
I almost want him to overstay his welcome than the opposite. I want him to be like, I've arrived. I am back in your lives.
Yeah.
Here I am.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with everything that you just said. It is shaggy, but also I don't mind it too much. It's really cool that he works with like varied producers, because this album in particular, this is actually my favorite album he's ever put out. The most striking thing to me about it is that these beats are so perfect for him. You would think he's like a Tyler that makes his own beats, because they just, even though they all sound different, they all work perfectly for what he's doing, because they have a really good mix of like classic, but then also like futuristic sounds. Yes. It's like druggy sounding, but also really sharp and angular, which is exactly what his flow is. Like it's grimy, but it also like it has a catchiness.
Yeah,
it matches him like to a T. And so what he's doing on top of all these beats is just perfect.
I also think until there was a little album from a guy named Kendrick Lamar that came out this year, this has my favorite beat switch in any song this year in Ohio.
Dude, it's unbelievable.
I'm gonna get my hose in Ohio. Like, it's just so fucking good. That entire track, that might be my favorite song on the entire album. That shit is so fucking good. Cooties is incredible. Back in Love, Pop, Blue Slides. Like, there's down the list, especially the front half of it is just like banger after banger after banger after banger.
Yeah, he did an awesome job with this. I really would recommend people, if you listen to it, give it another. Like, it's worth your time. And again, like you said, it kind of went under the radar compared to the numbers that it could have done, because he hasn't had hype behind him. The last time was when like that part came out.
Yeah,
which is a million years ago.
Do you think he's like back, or
I think so.
He talks about in the album a good amount that he like has a lot of shit going on. Like, he's got a family, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you reach a part in your life where you've got kids and like an estate to take care of, and
it's just crazy, man. Like, if you go back to it, like, Schoolboy Q was part of Black Hippie before Kendrick was. Like, it was one of those things like in the ground floor of all of this, and then, drugs and people in your lives and everything else like that kind of just can take your life different directions. So I'm just happy that he's back, because I really think that it could have gone the other way.
Did you shout out Blue Slides?
Yeah.
Blue Lips by Schoolboy Q.
Black Hippie album 2025. Can we manifest that in the universe?
That'd be insane.
It might be too powerful.
That was your 6?
Yeah, it's Hunter's 6 and Drew's 7, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on year 6.
So now it's your 6.
My number 6 is Vince Staples. What's the name of it? I have it right here.
Dark Times?
Yeah.
Dark Times.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward. Never gets old.
Yeah.
I could listen to these songs on repeat forever and ever and ever.
It's tough for me to like continue rating these high just because like you know what you're gonna get and it's gonna be good. And you listening to it, it's like, yeah, Vince Staples released another good album this year.
I'm gonna be honest.
know-
I forgot that he released an album this year because he's so goddamn prolific. He's just another one of
Ever
those guys
since
that's
he continues to be probably the most underrated,
underappreciated rapper.
Yeah,
Yes,
like-
100%.
Like he does not get his flowers enough.
Yeah.
We just get so much good music from him.
Super consistent.
Super frequently. I think this might be his best album. I feel like I say this every time he puts out an album, but his best album since maybe Big Fish or Summertime.
as a
Like,
whole project,
they're all like so good.
as a whole,
Over
as a
Ramona
whole-
Park, really.
Yeah,
I love Ramona Park.
I think this
Those-
is better than Ramona, at least personally. This and
Vince
then-
Staples
What was
was
the
all-
blue one? Was it? Is that what it's called?
Well, he put out one called Vince Staples.
There was a blue one with like, just
Big
his
Fish.
face.
Big Fish.
No.
Oh no, you're thinking of Vince Staples. Yeah.
Yeah, Vince Staples, the one with. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
FM was good, but that one was so short.
yeah. That one felt.
It was
weird.
more like an EP.
Yeah,
That was like our intro to Kenny Beats.
Right. Well, Dark Times, I think, man, it's just so confident, and I continue to be amazed and blown away and surprised by how talented this guy is.
He's so easy to listen to.
Exactly. That's the thing, is like there are albums that come out early in the year that I just have in my rotation, and I listen to them so much that I get tired of them. And then we get to this Listomania episode and I drop them off the list because I'm like, you know what? I've had enough. It's too much. It's already, I've given it enough of my time. I need to give my time to other stuff. That's not the case with this. This is, Vince Staples in this album specifically has solidified itself in my brain, in my head, in such a deep way that I just want to live in this vibe. I just want to live in this world. And I don't think I will ever get tired of it. I don't think I'll ever feel like it's too much, or I'm not feeling it, or it's not the right time, or it's not the right vibe. It always the right vibe for these songs.
May not be the
Um,
right time.
It's another no skips. I mean,
It is.
my favorite is probably Etouffee, but I love Justin as well. Lil Homies is great. Freeman's great. It's 13 tracks that are all
I can't believe
super strong.
I can't believe there wasn't a rap song called Etouffee already.
Yeah.
Shout out New Orleans food. Where's the song called Muffaletta?
Yeah.
Let's get in there.
Black and Blue, man.
Yeah,
like
great up. He's like one of the most consistent artists that we have right
it
now.
just rocks.
Just wildly unappreciated.
Yeah. The only thing that I continue to think is a little bit missing from him, just because I know we used to have it, was like when Summertime 06 came out, he had like such a sense of like urgency to the way he sounded. Like he was,
like a boom bap kind of like.
yeah, and it was just like I need to like tell y'all about this. I need to get my story out. And like it sounded like he was like rapping for his life
Yeah.
a little bit more. And
That's
now
like Uncle Vince telling a story.
yeah, he's so much more laid back now, which is why he's so listenable now.
Yeah.
Like every album he puts out is just, yeah, you can just have it in
but when
any
you-
playlist.
when you dive into the lyrics, it still feels
Yeah,
essential.
No,
it's like necessary to his
it's
narrative.
still, yeah, he's still.
It's not like he's rapping. It's not like Jay-Z or he's rapping about being rich. Like that's not what's happening.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, he still talks about like
Real
like,
shit.
complicated issues.
Yeah.
yeah. He just it's just a more laid back demeanor, I guess, and to his beats as well. Obviously,
Is he gonna run out of things to rap about? Like, I feel like that is gonna happen because
A lot. It happens to a lot of people.
the content is like so good and so different, but it's like, I'm sure there's tons of problems,
Yeah.
but it's like at some point, some of those problems aren't going to be good enough for him to rap about.
well, that,
but the music will still be
That's
good.
Yeah.
where a lot of rap artists just kind of like disconnect.
yeah,
Like they
artists
they
in
can't
general,
connect
you lose the ability to relate to people, and it's not
You're
your
like, I don't
fault.
know what I guess
It's
I'll
not
rap
your
about
fault
a
at all.
fucking girl again
But
or
that's-
something.
yeah, that's why it's so impressive when someone like Kendrick can
I-
keep
I
doing
do
what he does.
appreciate it though, because it's like he's been doing this for a really fucking long time, like about 11
Yeah.
years maybe now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ten-
Summertime. What was that? Like
Yeah.
2000.
2015,
Yeah.
I think.
Was it called Summertime
2015.
06?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Summertime 06.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's something with him that it's like, if when he really, I'm like, yeah, it's another good album. I'm sure, but it's like
Yeah.
for me, it was almost like a lot of my albums this year were like surprises.
Yeah.
That like I wasn't
Exactly.
expecting.
I would guess that he would put out a good album every year.
I guess my surprise is that it continued to be great.
I think
that it doesn't drop.
Yeah,
I think
honestly, you got to give him a shout out for that.
Mhm.
It's hard.
I think I would also prefer the more like if he had a couple more songs that were like more boom bappy.
Yeah,
You know, like
a little bit more like
a little bit
intense.
Yeah, a little bit more oomph to it. But like
Yeah.
I still like this stuff. Like it's still
it's
great.
a chill hang.
very
is what
very
it is.
listenable. But
Yeah.
it's like a tough hang. You know, it's
I really wanted to prioritize just things that feel good on the ear holes.
Yeah.
Like that's just what I wanted my list.
What are the comfort albums that you kept going back to over and over again?
Yeah, I just like the sound of this album. It's not complicated. It's just
it is.
good music.
it's tried and true. It's bread and butter. you know?
I have it in like 20 playlists, and every time I don't skip it when it comes on.
I will say, I actually looking through my list, I don't think that like I kind of Jesus, Danny just fucking
I thought you were gonna.
He was pulling an
rubbernecked
Ernest
around here, just
Oh, I'm sorry, Brat is on there.
I will say this year, I don't know. I guess I don't know how you guys feel about this. I don't have as much hip hop on my list as high up as I have in the last couple of years, especially. Like I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, 5 of my 10 were like rap.
Yeah.
JID,
Like it's
Pusha,
it's just like, and it kind of ebbs and flows with the years and stuff like that. But this is
it's
one
tough
where
when the god swallows everything up. You know?
Yeah, but even so, like I feel like there aren't as many rap surprises, at least for me, like a Group Therapy last year, where they just like something like that comes out of nowhere. I'm like, who the fuck is this? Like, I don't even have like that quite the same way. I've had that with different other artists and other genres, but not so much with hip hop this particular year.
Generally speaking, one of the bigger trends in music this year was in hip hop, and we're not touching on any of the albums associated with it. Because the last couple of years it's been drill. That has been like the prevailing sort of beat pattern.
Is that what Dochi's doing?
No. If anything, like Lil Uzi stole it for "I Just Want to Rock." It's when like the most defining characteristic is the main percussion is just a bass drum that goes boom, 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 boom.
Okay.
Boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. And there's a lot more to it than that, obviously.
Yeah.
This year or 2024, the biggest trend in hip hop was sexy drill music. That's what it's called. The sort of face behind it this year became Cash Cobain. I just don't like it, and that's why we're not going to be touching on it. I don't find it enjoyable. I miss the percussion when it's so limited like that in hip hop. What's wrong with the snare drum, guys? Come on.
Yeah, well, and also to that point, I don't know. There's something about both this and about the Q album that we just talked about, and we'll save more of the discussion whenever we actually get to it eventually. But the Kendrick album that almost has a very early 2010s feel to it, where it almost feels mixtapey.
Yeah,
there's something about it that feels a little bit looser, a little bit almost raw. Like obviously the production isn't raw, but the feeling behind it, a lot of the songwriting itself, the
having a good time is the priority.
Yes, yeah.
Also, got to shout out his Netflix show, which dropped this year. Only, what was it, 6 episodes?
Yeah, 6 episodes. I think it got renewed for season 2.
Let's go.
Which is nice.
Yeah, very excited, and I'm glad that it doesn't mean that he is failing on delivering with the music. So that's my number 6. It's Vince Staples' Dark Times.
What's your
soundtrack
6?
after that?
Number 6, Drew.
My number 6 is Fontaines D.C.
Let's go.
Romance. So
maybe romance isn't dead.
This is an interesting one for me because the Skinty Fia was my number 1 album of 2022, I think.
That choice has aged super well.
Yes.
It's an unbelievable album. It really had like an emotional impact on me, which is really rare for music that I also like to listen to. Awesome album. So coming into this album, I'm like, okay, I'm now judging this band on a different set of criteria. Like I'm trying to enter them into like rarefied air here because I really like this band. This is exactly what grabbed me like in high school when I was discovering like, non-radio music or whatever, is like these British like rock bands.
Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah, that like Libertines or whatever. Like back then that was what like grabbed me. This album is awesome. I at first I was a bit disappointed in it because of how I was judging it, I think.
Well, it's
But
very different from
It is
Skinty.
super different.
They-
It's a huge step, which, you know, obviously they took one from their first album to their second album. Their first album's good too, but like a lot of evolution. You get Skinty
Yeah.
Fia, which is very like dark and dour sounding.
Yeah, almost gothic.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
not many like electronic instruments, if at all.
Right.
And then you come into this album, which has way more. It's like a mix of like almost Y2K era stuff,
Mhm.
and then a lot of 80s jangle pop.
Yeah. Wait, this is way more poppy. Yeah.
Yeah. And it does it very, very well. It was jarring. Like,
Yeah.
this is a very interesting band. The way that they're evolving is like really unpredictable.
It's something, well, because you can hear, like, they had the same producer for their first two albums, Dan Carey, who produced things like Squid and Black Midi,
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
and then moved to James Ford, who is like one of the biggest British producers. He produced everything
Yeah.
from Humbug, Arctic Monkeys, moving forward.
Yeah,
he produced.
he's an Arctic Monkeys like main stage
Yeah,
producer.
he does like all of the Arctic Monkeys stuff from Humbug moving forward. He's done like the late stage Gorillaz albums, Foals, Depeche Mode. It's very clear that like Fontaines D.C. is like, they got so much clout after Skinty Fia, and now they are almost trying to evolve their sound to be like, can we be like our version of arena rock? Like they are trying to play
Exactly.
to the back
Go
of the
big,
crowd.
Yeah, they're going bigger now, and that I think it's to somewhat mixed effect, but overall, I still love the album. Obviously, Starburster is one of the songs of the year.
Yes.
It popped off.
It did, and for good reason. It's a really interesting mix of like I said, influences and sounds. Like it has like that 80s, but this one in particular has like way more of like an earlier 2000s sound to it. His cadence and the way he's delivering it is like bordering on like rap. Like he's singing one note in the verses, like da 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 da. And it's, you know, it's very percussive.
Is that the one with the breath?
Exactly. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a fucking awesome song.
And then the instrumentation really like juxtaposes that
Yeah.
cadence by being like way more slowed down with the
Yeah, and
with the
it's still, you know, it has the indie rock thing, but they bring in like there's orchestral elements in this, and Starburster and a lot of other songs you get like violins coming in and
Yes.
shit. You also get almost like I said, 80s jangle pop like The Cure, but also bordering on like being shoegazy at some point.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of noise, but like very like pleasant atmospheric noise, I guess. In the lower points of the album, you're getting lost in the atmosphere, I think. I think that is when the album is not at its best. Sometimes the production is sort of, it's like, okay, you guys didn't come up with 100% of a song, and so you're burying it.
I think that's a very fair criticism of the album. I think like obviously they trade in a lot of the grime, a lot of like Ernest, I think how you accurately described it as like the gothic nature of Skinty Fia for just more polish.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they could have stayed in that album forever. And I think that that's something that I really admire
good
about this album
choice
is like
to break out of
this is
it,
a
yeah.
smart thing to do. And I think they actually take a step forward whenever it comes to songwriting overall. I do think that I agree with some of what you're saying here. But I really like some of like the breathy weightiness of like tracks like Desire and like In a Modern World, where it's just like very just open, just trying to leave this like open sonic landscape.
Desire's a
something that it's,
great one.
you just want to like let it take you over. I do think that like, especially towards the back half of the album, there is a little bit of, I think what you're talking about,
Yeah.
things like hoarseness and the wetness.
It definitely, it's a bit of a front.
I love that
loaded.
song.
It's a little front loaded of an album.
Yeah, it tails off.
But-
But
I
it's
still think-
it's still really good.
I still think like even something like Sundowner is just like fucking groovy.
Yeah,
man.
and
That
then it
shit
also
hits.
it ends on a song that is literally just like
Oh,
a reincarnated The Cure song.
Yeah.
Like Favorite is
Did you
it's
know?
just a song from like 1989.
Yeah.
Like so that's one of the reasons. Like I said, I'm judging this more harshly than I'm going to judge albums that I liked less just because I like this band so much. But if there's one thing that I was missing a little bit in this, and that you get in some songs, all of the most popular songs on this album, he uses his low register more, because that is the defining characteristic of this band that they could carry if they wanted to. He has a really distinct voice when he's going low. That's why Starburster is really interesting, because he's going da 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 da, and you don't usually hear like an indie poppy song with that low of a voice.
Mhm.
In this album, sometimes it feels like he's trying to prove that he can sing and has like range, and that's fine. Like he's a perfectly serviceable singer at higher registers, but I think it's more unique when he goes low. And so I want him to stick to that.
Here's a question. This album is nominated for Best Rock Album at the Grammys. Do we think it wins?
No.
What is it nominated?
I don't know.
against?
The Grammys,
Yeah, what are
like, aren't real.
what even are they?
I know. I
What
know
are the other
the Grammys
nominees?
It's
suck,
still a feat,
but
what is it against?
I think that they are on a trajectory that may include a Grammy.
Did like Metallica put out an album this year or something?
These are the
that
other
they're up against?
nominees. Happiness Bastards by the Black Crows.
The Black Crows, bro. They sucked like when they dropped.
You can't have
They
Fontaines
suck.
D.C.
Saviors by Green Day.
What? This is the Grammys suck.
Tank by Idols.
Fucking
Hey, Idols.
that one's
Hey,
okay.
hey,
Dark Matter by Pearl Jam. Hackney Diamonds by the Rolling Stones.
the Pearl Jam album is
and
awful.
No Name by Jack White.
The Grammys are so similar to Rolling Stone magazine in terms of like you can tell that they have like a bunch of 20 somethings and then a bunch of like 50 somethings on
Yeah.
their committee, and no one can agree on anything. Like they have no ethos, they have no identity.
You actually
as a
should.
body.
You should have to age out if you are the Grammys Association. I'm sorry. Once you hit 40, you're not allowed to vote on awards anymore.
We can't give Grammy nominations to like legacy acts like this.
Yeah.
It's
Or
it's so,
split the category.
it's
man.
just
you gotta do
so
something.
it's so commonplace that we're numb to it at this point at the Grammys that like there's always you're gonna find out, oh, Pearl Jam put out an album. Okay, no one heard it, no one likes it.
Hey, that Pearl Jam album isn't awful.
Oh my god.
I listened to it.
Is
It's
that a
actually
peek at your top 5?
no. It's not terrible though. But Pearl Jam. Here's the thing. The difference is that Pearl Jam was great. Pearl Jam was amazing. And Pearl Jam, even like something like Backspacer did come out like 10, 15 years ago. And that's not terrible. It's not like it's been 30 years since they put out the album. The Black Crows, what are we fucking
They
doing
suck,
here, man?
dude.
Yeah,
that's a bad band.
Green Day?
thing, let me lie
I'm
to
sorry.
you 'cause I'm so
A new
I don't
Green
know.
Day album?
I
Get the
had no idea
fuck
it
out of
existed.
here. Like that is where I draw more.
I get
issues
it.
with.
Like the thing with this album, I don't think it deserves a Grammy. I think they deserve a Grammy
Right.
at some point.
They're on a rise. They're on
Yeah.
a climb.
I think
They're on a rise. It was a good sophomore album. I wanted it to be better.
it's their
I
fourth
will ask,
album.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
does any non-pop
Skin Tea was just the big one.
Oh, okay.
Does any non-pop artist under the age of like 40 give a shit about if they win a Grammy or not?
No, the Grammys couldn't matter less than they currently
At
do.
this
They
point, yeah.
absolutely suck.
But-
We cannot normalize them.
It's good. It's just like the reason this is in my honorable mentions is not in my top 10. It's just it felt like for me such a fall from Skinty Fia. It felt like a different sound, which was nice. Like I think this album had like 3 or 4 songs that were better than anything on Skinty Fia.
Yeah.
For me. Like Here's the Thing I had on repeat.
Here's the
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah, like it was just it's so
That's a
catchy,
good
such
one.
a tune. Favorite was one that really stuck with me too.
Mhm.
Like it's just such like a beautiful like ending to the album. And I kind of was expecting more after Skinty Fia. Like I was expecting it to like really stick with me. And I tried because it was like, I know the band's good. It didn't stick with
They
me.
just I agree. I think Skinty Fia has songs that are more affecting and more lasting.
Yeah.
This album is more accessible and way easier to recommend to people, and also still really good.
Yeah. I think that this album is going to have legs to it too.
Well, I benefited a lot from dropping it for months and then picking it back up in this crunch.
Same actually.
It climbed up a lot in my rankings because I didn't really connect with it when it dropped. And then in the last month or so, I picked it back up and I thought, oh my God, it completely removed from whatever expectations I had going into it after Skin Tea. This is a fucking great album.
Exactly. And I'm also trying to remove the fact I know that they're a band that just is scratching like a high school itch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm trying to remove that bias.
Well, I also think that there's something about them that like there's almost between Skinty and this that I'm like, you guys might have like a masterpiece like up ahead of you. Like there
Right.
might be like something else that you
they're on a
are
climb.
building for. This album actually, it's funny. I was going to make this comp and then I saw that the producer of this album literally made this, but this almost kind of feels like they're humbug to me.
Ooh.
And I'm like, what's your second C going to be though? Like, is that what we have coming?
Interesting.
It feels like we are building towards something.
So here's what I want for you in 2025, Hunter. what happened with you and Skinty Fiat this year or last year, where like it grew in your estimation. I want it to grow that much again.
Oh,
I think if you keep trying.
no, it's great. I like Skinty Fiat more than this album.
I know. I'm just saying, I think based on your taste, I think that's an album that if you kept at it with it,
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
Can you put that on the soundboard that every time somebody said, here's the thing, you just press that button? I did kind of go back to my roots a little bit this year for my great homeland, Vireland.
That's what I'm saying, man.
The great homeland. It didn't make the list, but Kneecap is a.
Kneecap.
Here's the thing,
lads.
Kneecap put out an album this year that is
A
incredible.
movie.
Well, they put out a movie. They also put out an album.
Yeah.
All
right.
Did you try to play something? Oh, you pressed the button like something was.
I was trying to decide on what soundboard I was going to drop.
Soundboard
What'd you
paralysis.
decide on? Hit one.
This is going to close us out for the.
Let's slap him up. Okay.
Slap 'em
It's
up.
sort of hard to make out what he's saying if I were to critique that.
Yeah.
So
It sounds like a lot of noise.
Sure about that?
See
Yeah,
that?
that's clear.
Now that's a good one.
That's clear.
All right. Fontaines D.C. Romance is Drew's 6 and Hunter's 7. Is that
No,
correct?
my
8,
9.
Sorry, 9. Let's call part 1 there. That is half the list. That is 6 through 10.
Good job by us.
We will see you in part 2 for 5 through 1 for
Shit,
best
I have to make
albums
that list real
of
quick.
2024. Stick around. We love you. Bye.
Me.